Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another session with me, your host, David J.P. Fisher, otherwise known as D Fish. I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are. If you are live with us, I'd appreciate if you just throw a quick note up in the comment section to let me know where you're coming at us from today. Tell us your city, state, zip code, neighborhood, piece of the globe that is yours today. And also, of course, thank you if you are joining us afterwards by recording. Thanks for taking a few minutes to spend with us. It's a brand new week. We got a brand new series. And I'm really excited about the topic this week because it's something that has been near and dear to my heart for over a decade, and that is the LinkedIn profile. And I have to give credit where credit is due. This was a topic suggested to me by one of my friends, Heather Bennett, who wanted me to kind of go through the basics of the LinkedIn profile and really diving in because, a lot of times, who we got? Hey, Kim, I know you're coming from Illinois. Alan from Illinois, thanks for coming and joining us. Robert, what's up? Thanks for joining us. Of course, once again, I've put the tripod right in the middle of my my comment section. Let me move this over a little bit, and also let me fix my hair because this is going to bother me. At this point, I guess I shouldn't even worry about my hair because it's about 2.5 months overdue for a haircut. Awesome. But anyways, Heather was saying, hey, can you actually go into the LinkedIn profile in a very tactical way? Now, and to give you some context, I actually started training people on LinkedIn in 2008 or 2007. Like before it was cool when we were still trying to tell people it was linkedin.com, not linked.in or anything like that. And so, hey, we got some more Wisconsin people. Thank you for joining us from Kenosha. Appreciate that. So way back in the day, and I've been, in that time have taught thousands upon thousands of people how to show up, how to share their brand on LinkedIn, how to show up the right way. I love doing that. I also, of course, do a lot more of the strategy around how to show up and put that within the context of a larger sales and business development process, helping executives understand how they can use these tools to show up to their constituents more effectively. But sometimes we just have to get tactful. We just have to look at each of the sections and what you should be doing with each of the sections. And so that's what I'm going to do this week. I'm literally going to go piece by piece through the most important parts of the profile. I'm not going to talk about the certifications section, but really the parts that do the heavy lifting, go through what I've learned over the years works, what doesn't work, the mistakes that people make. And this will also be a great chance for you to ask me any questions about your own profiles or anything else that you've seen or any other ideas that are out there. Because here's the reality as well. There's 600 million profiles out there. There's not one perfect approach to them. I think there's some ideas that are better than others, and I'll be sharing those this week. But, there's not just one way to have the perfect profile. I don't have enough of an ego to say that my way is the perfect way. It's a pretty good way. It's been tested out in the field, so to speak. But there's a lot of different ways to approach the profile. And a lot of that also stems from the fact that there's a lot of different ways, or rather there's a lot of different goals that people have when they're on LinkedIn. There's not just one more approach that people have to LinkedIn, to what their career goals are. So we have to always remember that context. Hey, Rick, how you doing? Great question. I'll actually be here. Thank you for teeing me up here. I'll be here every week at 11:30. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through the LinkedIn profile, or at least my perspective on it, every day at 11:30 this week. And what we're really looking to do is position ourselves. So this is going to be how to create a customer-centric profile, a reader-centric profile. This is not for necessarily finding a new job, although it can definitely help. I'm not going to tell you how to craft this profile that'll make 10 or 20 people call you every week to become leads. Because, by the way, most of that is BS and garbage anyways. But rather, I want to help you craft profiles that engage your target audience, your prospects, your customers, that make people want to work with you. Okay. And so that's what we're going to do. And let's see, make sure I got my notes here. All right. Yalitha, by the way, yes, you're missing Liam, and he will not be joining us today. So sorry. Maybe later in the week he'll join us. For those of you who have been on the last couple of weeks, my co-host Liam sometimes joins us. He is my 10-month-old son, and luckily somebody else is watching him right now. So we get to focus on this, but he'll probably make an appearance throughout the week, I'm sure. So just to cover what we're going to go through this week, today we're going to look at images. We're going to look at your headshot. We're going to look at your banner. Tomorrow we're going to dive into headlines. Wednesday we're going to look at the about section, which really that's going to be a big meal. We could split that up over a couple days. We've only got one day, so I'm going to give you some guidance on that. Thursday, excuse me, we're going to look at the right way to do the experience section, and it's not, to give you a spoiler alert, it's not to create a resume. Thanks, Yulitha. I know I'm not as cute as Liam for sure, but thank you for spending a few minutes with us anyways. And then Friday, we're going to actually look at skills, endorsements, recommendations, and also all the other miscellaneous parts of the profile. Now, you'll notice that there's a lot that I skipped over. That doesn't mean that they're not important, but they're just not as important. They're not critical. I've really found that if you get kind of the big rocks right, if you get the big sections of the profile right, you're going to be in good shape. Okay, so let's dive in. Again, if you have questions, throw them up in the comment section, and we'll go from there. So we're going to look at images today. So we're going to look at very specifically the two images that you have on your LinkedIn profile, which is your banner image and your headshot. And of course, this is kind of wonky because I can't really show you a screenshot. I was trying to, there's a way to do it. I haven't figured it out yet. I apologize. I'm still figuring out the platform, the live streaming platform, but we can still talk through this very effectively. So understand, the first thing you have to understand is those two images are very, very important. Why? Because they're the only two you have. If you think about platforms like Facebook or Twitter, it's a lot easier to throw images up because there's a lot more posting you do. In fact, in your bio page or your personal page on Facebook, if you think about it, it lists all of the photos you've shared, especially with people in your networks, depending on what your privacy settings are. Instagram, Pinterest, these are photo-driven sites. So LinkedIn is actually one of the few platforms where you're very limited in what you can share, which I think is fine. I think that we don't necessarily want LinkedIn to be an Instagram. But what it means is those two images have a lot of importance. And so it's worth being strategic with those. So let's look at the first was the banner image. Now, I don't want to dive into strategy too much this week, just because, again, I want to really be tactical. But one thing that I'll say at the beginning of every session is that you should always be answering, or your profile, should be the answer to 3 questions that you've asked yourself. What is my goal? Who's my audience? How do I want them to see me? In fact, just as a random piece of homework I'd give you, if you've not written the answers to these 3 questions out before you use LinkedIn, do that. What is my goal? Who's my audience? How do I want them to see me? Because that will actually help inform all of your tactical decisions. That's the strategy we want to approach here. So let's look at these 2 images though, within that context. The first is the banner. This is relatively new. Only in the last 18 months or so. For a long time, there's no way to change the banner image, the one that's right behind your headshot in the top. Think about it for a second. This is like a billboard. This is a relatively large amount of space. It's the first thing that people see. I mean, it's like the sign you'd put above your door if your professional career was a store. So this is really important. And just like a billboard, I think there's 2 things we want to look at with your banner. The first is that it is attention getting. And I don't mean like, whoa, I mean just, okay, this is actually something that my eyes can focus on. Like, again, think about how people are parsing through your profile. They're looking at it on their computer. They're looking at it on their phone. And so that's really the first thing they're going to see. But not only does it set or get attention, but it sets the tone for the profile. It gives a general feeling for what I'm going to expect as I read through this, right? Is it a picture of a babbling brook? Is it a picture of a corporate headquarters? Is it a logo? Is it a picture of you speaking? Right? All of these different things create different effects emotionally. And that's actually probably the hardest part about the banner image is it's really about emotion, and it's hard to quantify or organize emotional impact, right? So that's why it's kind of hard to say there's the one way that you can craft, a banner image that's the perfect way. It's got to really fit, again, what you're trying to, the mood you're trying to set with your profile. So here's a couple different ways of looking at the banner image. Now, first of all, the biggest thing is have one, right? I mean, it's amazing now how many people still have kind of the default setting, right? Just the blue images behind your headshot. You're wasting that opportunity to have a billboard right in front of your prospects and your customers. So I'm going to rattle off a bunch of different ways. Understand that some of these are not going to apply to you. Some of them will, and maybe some of these ideas will actually give you a better idea for some different direction. Fantastic. Again, there's so many different ways we can approach this. Branding is always a good idea. And what I mean by that is if you do have a logo, if you do have company colors and you want to have those represented within your image, I think that's a great idea. Do I think you should just have your logo as your banner? Probably not. In fact, one of the suggestions I would make, and this is pretty easy to do, even if you're not a graphic designer, is to craft your own. A really easy site to do this on, and there's other ones too, but this is what I use, is called Canva, canva.com. You can do some very basic and relatively simple graphic design work. They even have a template for LinkedIn banner. Pop that up there, maybe have another picture, and then add your logo in, maybe just in the corner or something so it's not overpowering. But definitely try to have some branding within there. It could be an image in that banner of you doing what you do. If you look at mine, there's an image of me speaking. I've seen this with a lot of other speakers, CEOs, other leaders like that, people who are in front of audiences. That could be completely acceptable. It can be where you put a banner that highlights your products or your services. That doesn't mean just put a catalog picture up there. But for example, let's say you sell technology. Have almost kind of a stock photo-ish type image of people using technology. If it could also be just a picture of the type of audience you serve. So let's say that you sell medical equipment. Have an image of that's more of a medical image, right? Let's say you help lawyers, some lawyers sitting down doing some lawyerly like type things at a desk. That's fine, because again, it's the attention and the tone that we're trying to craft right from the very beginning. I've seen this especially among leadership, like sales leaders will do this a lot, where they'll have a picture of their team that was taken at the last big event they had when we could still meet in person. Or I've seen this especially also with startups or smaller companies where they just have the whole team and they use that picture as a banner, because they're saying, hey, this is our team, this is our company, it makes it real. Again, you can see there's a lot of different ways to approach this. What I would probably stay away from, a couple things I don't think work. One is just an image that you like. And I've definitely seen this. In fact, I was having this conversation with an executive recently, and she had a picture, which was actually a really cool picture. It was of kind of the dock area of a town in England, which was, she's here in the States, but that's where she grew up. And, she's like, well, that, it's where I'm from. There's a lot of, positive association with that place for me. And I was like, yeah, but the profile's not for you. It's for the people that are finding out more information about you that know nothing. So when they go and the first thing they see is this quaint English village, they're like, well, I thought you were a marketer, right? Like how there's an incongruity, and we don't want that. All right. So don't ask, does this banner image have emotional resonance for me? Ask, does it have emotional resonance for the people that I'm trying to influence? And the other one that I see a lot that I think doesn't work as well as we would like it to is the image of the city that you're from. So people, I've seen this a lot. I live in the Chicago area. Chicagoans very proud of where we're from. But I mean, I've seen this for people in New York, San Francisco, Texas, like in Austin. They're pretty pictures. But unless what you do is intimately tied with the city you're in, it does, again, there's a mismatch. And we have to remember that, especially the first impressions that we make, we don't want to have a mismatch. Okay, so those are the ideas with the banner image, right? So if you have any questions, or if you've seen good ones or bad ones, throw them down. We don't want to throw anybody under the bus, by the way, but if there's any there, throw them in. The second thing we want to look at is the headshot. And this, for I think since the beginning of LinkedIn, has been a cause of a lot of consternation with people. How do I have a great headshot? How do I have the right headshot? And the reason why I get, it makes sense because it's our face, and we're afraid of judgment. We're afraid of not, looking the best. We're putting ourselves out there. I get that, but that headshot is so important. It really is going to work, or it has to work in two different places. One is that first impression when they see your profile. There's going to be some information that we get in seeing their faces. The human brain is wired to recognize faces. That's how I can recognize a face, even if we can't remember a name. In fact, I've seen research that we can recognize up to 5,000 faces. Doesn't mean remember who they are, but we're like, oh, I know that person. That's a lot. But the other place it also has to work is the first time they meet us in person. Why? Because they have to match, right? It has to, again, set up the right expectation. It has to follow through the entire relationship. So let me give you 3 very simple ideas on how you can make sure that your LinkedIn profile photo is doing the job you want it to. You want to hit three beats. The first is approachability. The second is polish. And the third is consistency. So the first thing we're going to talk about is approachability. I'm going to ask myself, as the reader of your profile, can I talk to this person? Do I want to engage with this person? Are they friendly? Are they open? Do they look like somebody who I could have a conversation if I ran into them at a networking event, right? So that's the first step. You've got to have this approachability piece. Does that mean that you have to have a big, silly grin? No, but a nice open face, one that says, hey, I like you. I want to have a conversation with you. And this, by the way, especially for men, sometimes we try to look tough, right? Or we try to look badass. I've seen this also with women as well who are trying to, just don't try to look like a badass. You're not impressing anybody. You're not attracting them. You're driving away. Nobody's going, wow, they're really confident. I want to find out about them. They're going, oh, that guy or that woman, they look like a jackass. They look like a jerk. Next, right? And they're moving on. Because remember, we don't have a conversation to follow up with that person right away. It's only what they see. The second thing we want to look at is polish. So while we don't want to try to be stern and gruff, we obviously want to make sure that we are demonstrating that we're competent. So this is why I think it's really important that you do have a professional shot, that you look nice, that it's framed well. A couple things that you want to look for to have a polished profile. First, and this is going to sound really strange, but make sure you are framed literally within the picture the right way. Not too far away and not too close. And for me, too close means that part of you is cut off, right? Or maybe if you're turned or something, or you're looking a different direction, No, you want to have your face front and center. You also don't want to be too far away. And this is just, again, on a practical level, if you're pulling out your phone, and a lot of people are using their phone to look at LinkedIn, it's small. So if you are small in the image, and I'm looking at a small image, you're going to be minuscule. All right. It makes it much harder for me to get the information I need just on a subconscious level to kind of digest your face. All right. I'm going to suggest a couple things. One is make sure the clothing that you're wearing is indicative of somebody who is in your role. I'll talk about that in a second for consistency. You want to show a little bit. You can actually look at my profile photo to get like a general sense of what I think is good. It doesn't have to be exactly like that. You could be a little farther away or have a little bit of a more interesting background. That's completely fine. But again, we just want to position ourselves and present our face to the person as, again, approachable and open, but also polishing, professional. By the way, if you don't have a photo, I would suggest a couple. Now, this one's a little harder, of course, because of the current situation we're in, but we're going to be able to get back out in the world soon. So you can just go to an event. A lot of networking events, a lot of conferences will actually have photo booths. You can pay a photographer. Go online, search your city, search your area, social media profile photo. You can usually get them relatively inexpensive. And you know what? You do it once, use it for a couple of years. And again, it's going to make you money because you're going to be attracting more prospects and clients to you. Oh, by the way, I just saw this, Robert. Yes. You should never have a logo as your headshot. By the way, I also think your headshot shouldn't be a logo. It probably should include other people. It shouldn't include any inanimate objects. It should literally just be you looking at a camera. Because again, I want to be able to connect with you as a person. And I mentioned that there's the first impression, but also I want to make sure that then when I meet you in real life, I can have a comfortable conversation with you. I feel comfortable doing that, which I might not if I don't know what you look like, or if you look way different, or I'm like, I can't tell what this person looks like. The third thing we want to do is have consistency. And that's just so important, so not spoken about. In the human mind, most of our decisions are not at a conscious level, especially when social interaction is concerned. That's why we have really big brains, for social interaction. And to give you an idea, what we hear is important. There's about 30,000 nerve endings in our ears. There's over 1 million nerve endings in our eyes, okay? That's how important it is for us to be able to take in information, and then we have this big brain to process it. So for example, consistency simply means, does the person in the photo look like the person that I'm reading about in the profile? If you're telling me how smart and how hardworking you are and how you do everything for your clients, and there's a picture of you on the beach, or if you're trying to tell me, and this is something I like this, even in-person networking, somebody who's trying to tell me how successful they are, and just their clothing doesn't match, their manner doesn't match. It's like my brain, even on, again, a subconscious level, I go, something's not right here. And I've lost some trust for that person. You don't want to do that. So you just want to make it super easy for somebody to go, yes, I want to engage with this person more. Yes, I want to find out more just in the profile. And then yes, if there's a way for me to engage with this person more, I'm going to take that. Because kind of to wrap up, what we have to understand is that the LinkedIn profile really just fits into a self-referential ecosystem. There we go. It's hard to say. What I mean by that is, if you think about your LinkedIn profile, if you think about other social media platforms, if you think about your LinkedIn posts that try to drive traffic to that profile, if you think about your website, emails that you've sent to this prospect or client, these things all fit into each other. Then when you put in the in-person interaction, those things fit in together. They all have to match. They don't have to do all the work themselves, but they all have to fit together. And so what you're trying to do is really make sure that each of these fit together. So we went through a lot today on the image. I don't know if anybody had any questions. I know we don't have as many people on during the first days. Mondays are busy for everybody. Although as we go into, I think this is week 10 here in the Chicago area of shelter in place. I'm not sure what day it really is. But if you have any questions afterwards, you think about this, feel free to ping me, shoot me a message here on LinkedIn. We can always check out, I've got a bunch more information at my blog. I'll make sure I throw the link up here. We're going to talk tomorrow about headlines, which are 120 characters. They're the most important 120 characters on your profile. Feel free, by the way, if you want to even shoot me a message with your headline right now or what you think it should be. I'd be happy to use it as an example tomorrow of how we can spruce it up and make it look good. And by the way, I've created LinkedIn Live events through the LinkedIn system. So you should be able to sign up for these and be able to share these. And with that, I'm going to go. As always, be patient, be kind, and take care of one another. Have a great day. Bye.